What's up guys, this is Amir, and this is how you can actually get a full head of hair without getting an expensive hair transplant. Before we get into it, it's critical for you to know that this is only going to work well with you if you're in the earlier stages of hair loss rather than, if you're like a Norwood 6 or 7. So take this advice with a grain of salt depending on your own hair loss stage. It's not going to be effective for everybody, but if you're in the earlier stages, these are some things that I would do to reverse my hair loss. So that being said, let's jump into the video. I'd like to thank the sponsor of today's video is Vera Clinic. Vera Clinic is where I got my hair transplant done from. If you're looking for a quality, trusted professionals who can get you long-lasting and natural-looking results for a fraction of a price, look no further than Vera Clinic. They got me these amazing results for my own hair transplant, and I would highly recommend them to anybody looking to get their own transplant done, especially overseas. If you want to check out my series of my hair transplant, where I filmed the whole surgery and everything, as well as my month-by-month recovery, I'll leave a link to that whole playlist in the description below, as well as the contact information for Vera Clinic so you can contact them for your own hair transplant needs. That being said, let's jump right into the video. In this video, I want to break this up into two parts. One of them is going to be hair loss prevention, otherwise known as defense, and some of the things you can do to regrow hair, which I would like to label as offense. So let's talk about some of the defensive things that you can do. One of the things obviously is to incorporate some sort of DHT inhibitor. DHT is the primary hormone that's responsible for causing hair loss. So you can go through a traditional route like finasteride, dutasteride, RU58841, topical finasteride. Those are all great options if you want to go the medical route, but obviously for those you have to get a prescription for it. So depending on where you live, a lot of these online pharmacies can give you a pretty easy prescription. I would personally recommend going into the doctor and getting your blood work and your vitals and all that stuff checked before you hop on a lifelong medication. You want to get things actually checked in your body, especially when you're exposing yourself to a certain drug, rather than just taking a few things on the screen and the doctor prescribing you and you later on having some bad side effects. Regardless, your first point of action is going to be taking action against future hair loss and stabilizing your hair loss. Because if you don't stabilize your hair loss, you doing treatments like scalp massages, oiling your hair, or anything you can do to regrow your hair, it's not gonna make much of a difference because after the hair comes back, it's gonna go back anyway. So the first things first, snip it from the root and kill the future hair loss. Then we can move on to the next step, which is regrowing hair. Now, regrowing hair, if you want to go the traditional route, you can obviously use minoxidil, Rogaine, our Growplex formula. All those things are great for regrowing hair. And if you're going to go the minoxidil route, definitely combine it with something like a derma roller, because this is going to really help penetrate the area, regrow hair onto the surface, and help better absorb the minoxidil. Now, notice all these things you're going to do in combination with the previous step. So whichever line of treatment you're going to choose, you're going to do it in combination, because if you only do one, it's not going to make that big of a difference. Now, if you want to go the natural route, rosemary oil is good. Studies show that using rosemary oil can be just as effective as using minoxidil, followed by scalp massages. All those things can really help with blood flow into the area of the scalp, thus stimulate further hair growth. And the main reason why your hair dies is because of the lack of blood flow on your scalp. So by doing so and proactively doing it at least a few times a week, you're really activating that hair growth, one through the scalp massage of that oil, and two through the oil itself, which is going to be helping reawaken those hair follicles. Now, let's say money is not a problem and you want to go with something a little bit more of an expensive route, but not are quite ready for an invasive procedure like a hair transplant. PRP, otherwise known as platelet-rich plasma therapy, is also another very famous one. Essentially, they'll extract a certain amount of blood from your body. They'll put it in a centrifuge. That centrifuge spins really fast and separates the blood from the protein, and then they re-extract the protein into a syringe and inject that back into your scalp. In theory, using your own body's nutrients to regrow the hair in the area that you need. But the problem with this treatment is that you need to get it done very frequently. Studies show that you have to get at least 4 treatments within the span of the first few weeks for it to start working in your system, and then thereafter you need to get at least 3 to 4 treatments down the line for you to maintain those results. It can range anywhere in between $700 to $1,000 per treatment. In my opinion, I don't see the cost to benefit ratio adding up here, and I would just consider something like a hair transplant at that point. If you're looking for a little bit more of an aggressive approach, let's say you're a little bit more closer to Norwood 4, Norwood 5, using something like RU58841 can be a pretty solid approach. I've seen a lot of great case studies about it on Reddit. RU58841 is a research compound. It's not approved by the FDA for hair loss, and it's still in its research phases, so we don't know the long-term side effects of it. But a lot of people use this instead of finasteride because it's not a systematic drug, so it doesn't go in your system and mess with your DHT levels and anything else. You just apply it topically onto your head every single day, and it stops the androgens from binding into those hair follicles, causing a miniaturization. Combining that with minoxidil is also a very solid approach that helps you play both offense and defense towards hair loss. While you're doing that, an easy way for you to at least make make it look like you have a full head of hair or give that illusion or appearance, using something like hair fibers can help you go a long way. I used to use hair fibers to conceal my hair loss, especially if I was going out to events or schools and I knew my head was going to be exposed to a lot of bright light. I would use those fibers right away. So while you're doing those treatments, using hair fibers can help you go a long way in terms of hiding the hair loss while not making it obvious. And those things, they do wash off pretty easily, so it's not like something you're gonna have to like, you know, consistently worry about. And if you're looking for an immediate fix, that's probably the #1 way to go. So that being said, these are a few ways for you to reverse your hair loss or get a full head of hair, especially if you're in the earlier stages. Again, I would play offense and defense, both teams. One, obviously stop the hair loss from where it started, and two, regrow the hair. Whether you want to go completely medical based treatments or you want to go natural, there's options for both. And while you're doing so, concealing the hair loss with hair fibers is a solid approach. So hopefully you guys found this video valuable, helpful, and let me know what you guys thought about it. Other than that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.